guys, Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com, bringing you a Nike Tiempo line comparison video. In today's video, we're going to be comparing the top-end Legend 5 to the first takedown Tiempo Legacy to the second takedown Tiempo Genio. These all have something to offer, and we're going to talk about what the significant differences are from Genio to Legacy to Legend, hopefully allowing you to make a more educated buying decision if you were interested in one of the three Tiempo models. So with that being said, let's get right into the comparison. First things first, let's talk about the uppers. Now, one thing that I want to get straight right off the bat is that the Legend, the Legacy, and the Genio all feature natural leather uppers. This means that for the most part, they're going to provide a similar touch on the ball, and I would not categorize any of these shoes as poor quality. The difference going from the Genio to the Legacy to the Legend is not so much going to be quality. It is in a sense, but the major difference is that you're going from good leather to great leather to premium leather, and that's really what I want to stress in this particular comparison. Every one of these shoes is going to offer a quality leather touch. It's more a matter of having an ultra premium feel, a great feel, or a pretty good feel, and that's really what the difference is when it comes to quality, and that's what you really need to take into consideration when you're deciding between the Legend, Legacy, or Genio. Now, starting off with the top-end Legacy model, the upper on this shoe is kangaroo leather, which is pretty widely considered to be the best type of leather for a high-end soccer shoe. It's extremely soft, very, very plush from right out of the box, as you guys can see. This is a brand new pair, by the way. These are not broken in or anything like that. And you can see how nice the leather is. And as with any natural leather soccer shoe, once you start to wear them and break it in, you can almost guarantee that the leather is going to get a lot softer. And that will be the case with the Legend 5. Now, as far as what else is exclusive to the Legend 5 in comparison to the Legacy and the Genio, apart from being kangaroo leather, is that you do get the inclusion of ACC All Conditions Control technology, which essentially acts as Nike's wet control element. Some people are believers in this, some people are not. To me, it is a slightly noticeable thing, but for the most part, it's not the main selling point of the Legend 5 versus the Legacy or the Genio. It is definitely the quality of the kangaroo leather. If you guys want to learn more about ACC All Conditions Control from Nike, I'll leave an annotation on screen where I actually talk about it and kind of discuss whether or not it actually does work. Another feature that is not necessarily unique to the Legend 5, but what you do get with this top-end model is the inclusion of Hyper Shield technology. You can see the branding right there, and essentially what Hyper Shield is, it's a special liner on the inside of the shoe. You can see I have one opened up here, and you have a honeycomb-like liner similar to the base layer that's found on Nike Skin, which is on the Hypervenom Phantom. And essentially what that base layer of honeycomb mesh does is, one, it replaces a traditional liner, which generally can be a little bit restrictive, takes away from some of the feel. This is a lot softer, has that nice sock-like type of comfort against your foot, and it also helps to reduce the drying time for your shoes and keep them a little bit drier in the first place, which is a really big problem for a lot of leather soccer shoes, and not so much a problem with the Legend 5 as well as the Legacy, which feature this brand new Hyper Shield technology. Really nice innovation from Nike, and they've managed to more or less improve upon a natural material, which is pretty hard to do. Now next we have the Tiempo Legacy, and at the $100 price point, again, you're getting a really nice high quality leather upper. It's not kangaroo leather, instead it is a calfskin leather material, and again, the quality is very, very good. I would say that it's 85 to 90% as soft as what you're going to get from that top-end Legend 5 model. So again, the jump from the Legacy to the Legend in quality is not immense, I should say, but there definitely is a noticeable difference. For those of you wondering whether or not that's worth it to you is something that you have to determine for yourself. But like I said, the calfskin leather on this particular shoe is very, very nice. Of course, you do not get ACC, which again is not really a deal breaker for me. It's something that's only going to be included on the top-end models from Nike. And of course, you do get that Hyper Shield liner, which I just talked about. Now moving on to the Genio model, this is of course the low-end model, but by no means are you getting low-end quality. For $65 at a retail price, you're getting a full grain leather upper, and the quality of leather, while it isn't necessarily premium, is still very, very good, especially for a shoe that you can pick up for around $60 pretty much all day long. So in terms of feel, it's definitely not going to be as nice as what you're going to get from the Legacy or the Legend. But again, if you are in a bit of a budget and you want a more traditional leather-like feel, this is definitely one of those shoes that's going to provide that for you. One downside that I did find to this particular shoe in comparison to the others is the tongue itself. It's kind of a cheaper synthetic material, whereas the synthetic material found on the Legacy and the Legend 5 to me is a little bit nicer. It's kind of thin and flexible and has that nice memory foam insert in the middle. But other than that, like I said, the difference in quality going from the Genio to the Legacy to the Legend is not all that significant. Of course, you're going to get that ultra premium feel from the Legend. You're still going to get what I would consider to be a premium feel from the Legacy, and you're going to get a very, very good feel from the Genio model. Next, let's talk about sole plates, stud patterns, and insoles. Now, starting with the top-end Legend 5, the insole is fully removable. It's going to feature a mesh liner on top, perforations throughout. It's made of a really nice high-quality yellow foam material. Then you're going to have your pour-on blue foam inserts in the heel as well as in the forefoot and big toe area, making for really, really good step and comfort. One of the better insoles you're going to find on any high-end soccer shoe, to be completely honest with you guys. As far as the Legacy goes, again, you do have a removable insole. This is it. A full mesh liner on top, no perforations this time around, as you can see, and it's just one single layer of this very soft and spongy gray foam material. Again, a decent insole, definitely does get the job done. Not quite as nice as the Legend 5, but still very, very good. Now, the Genio does not have a removable insole. It's glued in. You could remove it if you wanted to, but for the most part, it's just a pretty standard thin foam material. Not quite as good as what you're going to get from the Legend or the Legacy, but of course, still worth mentioning. Now, to talk about the sole plate and stud pattern from the Legend to the Genio model, this is where you're going to find very, very little difference between the top end and the low-end model, which is, again, kind of unusual. Now, starting off with the top-end Legend 5, you are, of course, getting that new Tiempo stud pattern, which is also included on the other two models in the Tiempo line. You got your 4 bladed studs in the heel, your 8 conical studs in the forefoot, your 2 support bladed studs in the middle, and that 1 Mercurial-esque stud right here at the tip of the toe. Also included in the sole plate is that split toe design that's kind of a carryover from the Hypervenom, which I've mentioned before doesn't really do much for me in terms of changing the overall feel of the sole plate. And you also have that Nike Free-esque split here right in the middle of the forefoot. It's very, very minimal. You can feel a little bit with your kind of the tip of your finger. Not sure if you guys can see it on camera. It's supposed to allow for better flexibility, but again, it's such a minor thing that it really doesn't have any impact on the overall feel. You also have your stiffener bar here in the middle, and the plastic itself is a standard TPU plastic outsole. So again, nothing too fancy. It's a very kind of tried and tested stud pattern. They've made some minor tweaks to it, to be completely honest with you. The overall feel is very, very similar to what we've seen from past Tiempo models. The one major difference I would say is that little Mercurial-esque stud at the tip of the toe. I find it to be a nice little kind of addition when it comes to just making quick little sprints and accelerations. But for the most part, like I said, the overall feel has not changed all that much, and this is still one of my personal favorite firm ground stud patterns to use. Now, moving on to the Legacy model, you can see that the stud pattern layout is identical. There's no difference whatsoever, and the kind of material used for the sole plate is also very, very similar. It's a TPU plastic. Obviously, the finish is not as pretty, if you will, but the overall performance and feel is nearly identical. And you do have a slightly different split in the sole plate for that kind of Nike Free-esque split they have on the Legend 5. It's in a different area as opposed to being through the middle. It's closer to the back. Again, it's such a minimal thing that it really doesn't make any difference on the overall feel. And then moving on to the Genio, you're basically getting the exact same sole plate and stud pattern as what you're going to find on the Legacy as well as the Legend 5. Again, the quality of materials is nearly identical. Again, the finish is not quite as pretty as what you're going to get on the 2 higher end models, but the overall performance and feel remains exactly the same. So whether you're buying the Legend, the Legacy, or the Genio, the overall performance and feel on feet is going to be very, very similar. For the sake of comparison, I thought it'd be pretty interesting to see the difference in weight from the Legend to the Genio, and I think that the results will actually surprise you. So we'll start off with the Legend 5. Keep in mind that all 3 pairs here are in brand new condition and are in a size 9.5 US. We're going to throw the Legend on the scale first, and you can see that these guys weigh in at 8.5 ounces, which is pretty impressive considering that this is a full kangaroo leather soccer shoe and relatively lightweight in comparison to pretty much anything else in its category, if you will. It also has a nice solid feel about it. So we'll take that off the scale. We'll throw on the Legacy, and you can see that these guys weigh in at, again, a very, very similar 8.6 ounces, so 0.1 ounces more. Pretty much no noticeable difference in weight whatsoever, and a very, very similar type of build quality from the Legend to the Legacy. Next, we'll throw on the Genio, and you can see that these guys weigh in at a pretty surprising 7.7 ounces. So they're almost an ounce less than both the Legacy and the Legend, and I think that the reasoning behind that is because there is a little bit less to the shoe. There's not as thick of a liner. The leather itself is a little bit thinner, and for the most part there's just not a lot of extra comfort elements that would normally be included in the Legacy and the Legend models. So if you are looking for something that's very, very cheap and going to provide a nice leather feel and is also going to be very light, the Genio is probably the best to choose out of the three models. Alright, here's a look at the Legend 5 on my right foot and the Tiempo Legacy on my left foot. In terms of comfort from right out of the box, they are very, very similar shoes. I would say that the Legend 5 edges out the Legacy in comfort ever so slightly just because of the overall softer leather upper. But for the most part, they're very, very comfortable shoes from right out of the box that are going to require about a couple hours of break-in time just to allow the leather to stretch and form to your foot and soften up even further. In terms of the fit on both of these shoes, they are pretty much identical. They both feature the exact same X1.1 last, which has been borrowed from the Hypervenom silo. Basically, it's a shape to the shoe that is a decent amount of width through the midfoot and forefoot, and a little bit tighter here in the toe box area. And I find that this particular shape really suits the Legend 5 well because of that shallower lacing system. You have a lot of extra space here that is not tightened by laces, and because it is a little bit tighter from right out of the box, it does make for a better overall fit once the shoes are broken in. So this is what I would call to be a suitable shoe for a wide variety of foot types, just as long as you don't have excessively wide feet, mainly because, like I said, you are going to have a slightly tighter fit in the toe box area than you would a more standard traditional leather soccer shoe. Now, in terms of sizing, the entire Tiempo line runs half a size small, just like the Nike Premiers and just like the CTR 360 line. I wore a size 9 US in the Legend 4s and pretty much all the Tiempo models in the previous line, and in the Legend 5 as well as the Tiempo Legacy and the Tiempo Genio, I found that I needed to go up a half size for the best possible fit. So instead of going for a 9 US, I went for a 9.5. As you can see, the fit and the length is absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair of these for yourself, I would strongly recommend going half a size up. Alright, on my right foot I now have on the Tiempo Genio, and on my left foot I have on the Tiempo Legacy, just so you guys can get a side-by-side view of how they fit. Now, in terms of fit, they're very, very similar to each other. Again, they both feature the exact same X1.1 last, and the sizing is also identical. So if you're looking to buy the Genio, again, I would recommend going a half size up. The difference in feel here has more to do with the type of materials used. You're going to find that the Genio features a padded mesh liner as opposed to a synthetic leather liner in the heel area, and of course you don't have that same Hyper Shield liner on the inside and the rest of the boot. So for that reason, I would say that the Genio is a little bit less comfortable from right out of the box, but again, still a comfortable shoe, just requires a little bit of break-in time because it is a natural leather boot. Other than that, of course, you don't have that extra padding from the insole, and just the general overall quality of the leather isn't quite as nice as what you're going to find in the Legacy or the Legend, so you will notice that a little bit. But again, for the most part, every single model in the Tiempo lineup is a fairly comfortable shoe and a pretty good option if you are looking for something that's going to have a more traditional, natural leather feel for the ball. Alright guys, that's it for my comparison of the Nike Tiempo lineup. I have to really applaud Nike for this brand new line in that they didn't intentionally make the takedown models bad. You see that with a lot of these larger companies. I think that the best example of this is still the Adidas F50 line. If you look at the F50 Adizero, the quality is great. Everything about the shoe is amazing. But when you look at the takedowns, such as the F30, such as the F10, for the price that they charge for those things, the quality that you get is absolutely abysmal. And it almost makes you wonder, why would Adidas even release a product that is almost intentionally bad? If you look at the Tiempo line, of course you have the Legend 5, which is going to be the most premium of the bunch. If you're looking for that ultra high quality kangaroo leather touch on the ball, you're going to love the Legend 5. Yes, the retail price is perhaps a little bit too steep at $200, but on the review page of my website with the right coupon codes, you can actually pick these up for around $160 pretty much all day long, so you don't necessarily have to pay retail. If you look at something like the Tiempo Legacy, retails at $100, you can pick them up with the coupon codes for around $90 or so. It's a really good quality shoe for something in that price range, and if you are looking for something that's going to more or less come very, very close to that in terms of quality of the Legend 5, but don't necessarily want to pay that extra $100, then the Legacy model is definitely something to consider. Whereas if you're on more of an extreme budget, the $65 retail of the Genio model, and you can actually pick them up for around $60 on the review page of my website, again, link in the description. This is a really good option for somebody who's on an extreme budget but still wants something of decent quality. You can't go wrong with the natural leather upper of this particular shoe, and not to mention that the overall aesthetic and finish of it is not really typical of a low-end soccer shoe. It's much higher quality than you might expect. So that's pretty much it for my Nike Tiempo line comparison. If you enjoyed today's video and found it helpful, be sure to support it with a like. If you have any questions at all, feel free to leave me a comment down below, and I definitely will get an answer out to you. Again, if you are looking for more details on any of the products you saw in today's video, links to all 3 review pages can be found down below in the description, so be sure to go ahead and check those out. If you're not subscribed already, be sure to hit that subscribe button for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all of my social media information down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.